All right. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us. This is the day one of the Green Program's International Education Week. We are so excited that you are here to join us as we get started for a week of daily panels as we consider the future of international education, sustainability, and employability in the field of sustainability. Before we get started, International Education Week happens every year, but as you are likely familiar, it's been an interesting year for higher education, for sustainability, and for the field of international education. And so the Green Program, we really wanted to make sure that we brought the field of higher education professionals, sustainability professionals, and students who are interested in these topics together to talk about the future and how we can move forward in this field more sustainably together. So thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to be doing a general information session talking about the Green Program, what we do, what our mission is, how you can be involved with the Green Program. We're really excited to have a professor from Penn State University and a longtime partner of the Green Program, Sankey, with us. So I'm going to go through some key information about the Green Program, and then I'm going to have some Q&A with Haley to talk about how she's worked with the Green Program to incorporate our learning outcomes into her courses and what she does at Penn State. And then we're going to open it up to all of you for any questions that you have for Haley, for myself, or questions that you want to go through about international education, sustainability, or anything else. So you're going to see some polls coming up. I'll share my screen and we'll get started with, we've got a lot of information to get through. If you guys could just get started by introducing yourselves in the chat. I'd love to hear who you are, where you're coming from, what brings you to the Green Program. And then definitely be active in using that chat function as we go through all of this information. Ask your questions. We'll keep them all queued up for the end, and we'll try to get through as many questions as you have as possible. All right, so again, welcome. I'm Megan Swanick. I'm the Director of University Partnerships. I am here on behalf of the Green Program to talk about what we do, why we're here, and how you can work with the Green Program, either as a student participating in our programs or as a higher education professional who wants to incorporate sustainability learning outcomes and global engagement into your courses and to your campus. And I'm thrilled to have one of our longtime partners and a key proponent of global engagement for sustainability, Professor Sankey from the Penn State University, here with us today. So again, filter all your questions into the chat. I'm going to dive right into who the Green Program is. We were founded in 2009, made by students for students, with the mission of keeping students globally engaged and educating them on a hands-on approach about how to be more sustainable and learning about sustainable development around the world. You can see throughout the years, we've brought students to a number of locations, including Costa Rica, Thailand, Slovenia, Croatia. Currently, we operate in Iceland, Japan, Peru, and Nepal, as well as virtually. And I'll get into all those programs momentarily. So what is TGP? TGP is an international education provider which focuses on short-term programs abroad as well as virtually that are focused on sustainable development. Our mission is to educate the next generation of sustainability leaders who are equipped with the key skills and knowledge and experience globally needed to build a more sustainable future. So all of our programs are intentionally designed to instill you not just with the experience and the global engagement, but the key skills, hard and soft skills needed to fulfill that more sustainable future, including emotional intelligence, analytical thinking. Leadership is a key part of our programs, entrepreneurship, judgment and decision making, and more. As mentioned, our mission is building the next generation of sustainability leaders through education, travel, and adventure. Our model. So as mentioned, our programs are short-term, they're intensive, We have programs that traditionally are administered in person around the world. And we've had the pleasure of launching throughout the past year a series of very successful virtual programming, which includes professional certificates, as well as delivering a lot of the academic portion of our programs online. And I'll get into our virtual programming later in this presentation, but I want to take you through our traditional education model for how we deliver our programs. As mentioned, we deliver programs that bring you to locations around the world to learn about sustainability topics in places like Iceland, Japan, Nepal, and Peru. Each of those programs have a different focus, but they all include these key elements and approaches to administering that educational content. So they're short-term, they're intensive, they average at about 10 days, 50 hours, they're all for credit. You can do them in your winter break program, your spring break term, as well as your summer break term. Each program is focused on career development and centered around the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So you'll see that each program has a specific topic that is tied to specific sustainable development goals as articulated by the UN. The programs that we provide are catered to be more accessible, so they are more affordable than the cost of your average study abroad program. They take place in your university breaks, and they're delivered in the academic part of the program as well as other cultural engagement parts of the program to be more interdisciplinary. So you don't need to be studying sustainability, you don't need to be an engineer, you don't necessarily need to have a background in these topics to be able to engage with the content. And we keep close monitor on the impact of our programs and are proud to relay the findings that we have strong long-term impact in the short-term programs. So our students have gone on to take what they've learned in our programs and apply them to not just their career, but their personal life and behavior, as well as their academic studies. Okay, so our 4 key programs are, first of all, in Cusco in Peru. The focus of our Peru program is on water resource management and sustainable practices. We administer this program with the Universidad San Ignacio de Loyola, or USL for short. Each program, including this program, will be a mix of industry access and exposure. So you'll be touring local facilities who are blazing trails and doing good work in water resource management in Peru. You'll also be taking coursework at USL, so studying with academics who are the leaders in their field around the world in these topics. You'll be working with local community leaders, engaging with local communities to learn about how these topics impact them, what water resource management and sustainability means to these communities. And then in addition to the industry exposure, the academic engagement, and the community engagement, you'll also have a pretty solid dose of adventure and getting out into the nature and history of these locations, which is a strong emphasis of each of our programs. So for example, in Cusco, you'll be visiting Machu Picchu, and in all of our other locations, you'll be visiting UNESCO World Heritage Sites and key historical sites like that. Another one of our programs takes place in Fukushima in Japan. This topic is on disaster mitigation and nuclear to renewable transitions. Many of you may be familiar with an earthquake that happened and resulted in a nuclear meltdown in Japan. And since then, Fukushima has been working to transition to 100% renewable energy. So this program takes you to Fukushima to, again, work with local academics, community leaders, and industry experts who are engaged in that transition to learn firsthand in what that transition means. Logistically, what does that transition look like? How does it affect the community? And learn about, from a 360 perspective, what that transition looks like. Our newest program, and one of our most exciting programs, I feel, is our program in Kathmandu in Nepal, which is focused on microgrid systems for rural development. This one is done in partnership with Kathmandu University. I think it's a really unique program for a number of reasons. One among those reasons is that often you might be joined by local students from Kathmandu University who will join you in this program, providing some really unique local insight into this topic of bringing microgrid systems to people who don't otherwise have access to it. You'll be hiking into a rural village who is in the ongoing process of undergoing the microgrid systems for rural development. So you'll be partaking firsthand in the installation of solar grids and solar panels. And you'll also have the opportunity, as always with each of our programs, not just to study with the local academics about these topics and to work with local community leaders about these topics, but also to visit the history and key UNESCO World Heritage Sites of Nepal. Finally, last but not least, our oldest and most popular program is our Iceland program, which is focused on renewable energy innovation and sustainability. Innovation is a key emphasis of this program. We do this in partnership with Reykjavik University, Iceland School of Energy. This program, it allows you, as always, to visit with local power plants and industry leaders who are innovating the space of 100% renewable energy, which Iceland has. You'll also be studying with the leading academic in this space. And you'll also have the opportunity to get out into the beautiful nature of Iceland. So you'll be hiking on glaciers while learning about the effects of climate change firsthand. Haley will be talking a little bit more about her experience with students going to Iceland. So I'm excited to hear from her about that experience for her and her students in just a little bit. So I want to break down, now that we've gone through the key locations of the GREEN program, some key components of the GREEN program model. As mentioned a few times now, it includes a few key things, including academic instruction, industry engagement, community engagement, and then getting out into the nature and having some adventure engagement in each location. One of the most important parts of the GREEN program is the capstone project, and this ties into the leadership development and entrepreneurial mindset that we instill into our programs. So for each program that you partake in with the GREEN program, students will be divided into interdisciplinary groups where you are tasked with the challenge of coming up with an entrepreneurial solution to climate change and sustainable development. And throughout the 8 to 10 days that you're partaking in the GREEN program, you'll work with this group to come up with an entrepreneurial solution. You'll workshop it with your academic and peers, academic oversight and peers on the program, and then presenting your final entrepreneurial solution at the end of the program. Some of our alumni have indeed gone on to continue their capstone development, the entrepreneurial solution in their academic studies, either as part of a master's degree or an undergraduate degree, as well as in their postgraduate career, and some have even turned it into their own startup company. This, again, is just emphasizing that in our programs, we really try to build the key soft and hard skills needed to tackle issues of climate change and sustainable development. Leadership development through adventure and culture is a key part of this. So you'll see here listed some of the key ways that you'll be not just learning and enjoying the cultural and adventure elements of each of our locations, but also using that to develop leadership skills. So now that we've gone through, and I'm excited to hear your questions about our traditional programming, I do want to go into a little bit of how the GREEN program has pivoted and enhanced our program offerings in the past year in light of COVID. So one question that we get all the time is how we are administering our programs during a year when travel might not be possible. So I just want to present you, and we are happy to share more information on our website about our more lengthy health and safety protocols, what we're doing in each of our program locations to monitor the COVID situation there, how we're making decisions about when and how to kick back in traditional travel-based programming with the Green Program. This includes monitoring the WHO, CDC, and Department of State recommendations, and also working in close partnership with all of our university partners around the world, which is a key part of my role with the Green Program. So I manage all of our university relationships. And in that capacity, I'm flexible and working with each of our university partners to determine the institutional regulations, which will vary by campus, and work with you to deliver the program, whether that be a travel-based program or one of our virtual programs that is best for your campus. And on the note of our virtual programming, we do have a number of options available for students so that students are still able to remain globally engaged in learning about sustainable development and sustainability with a global perspective while we navigate this past year with COVID, and as we navigate the coming year and the uncertainty of how soon and when students will be able to travel. So one of our program options available to students in that interim period when travel might not be immediately possible is our Learn Now, Travel Later program model, which delivers a lot of the academic component of the program, working with your peers from around the world, developing the capstone project, importantly, remotely, with still the exposure to industry leaders and academic innovators from around the world in a virtual engaging format, while still having a voucher to travel later in person to each of these locations as soon as you're able to travel again. This program model, our Learn Now, Travel Later model, was actually nominated for an award by Go Overseas, which is the top organization who monitors study abroad programs in the field this year. In addition to our Learn Now, Travel Later model, we have a number of programs that are available entirely virtually. This includes our certificate programs, which are focused primarily on building professional skills and professional development. As mentioned, they happen entirely online. They run for 2 weeks. And currently we have 2 in particular that I want to emphasize. So one that we ran most recently is the Nepal Ethics of Sustainable Development program. And another is our Indigenous Knowledge of Sustainability program. Again, both of these programs are administered entirely online. They run for 2 weeks. The focus is on professional skill building. And at the close of both of these programs, having engaged with our partners in Peru and Nepal on these topics and working and networking with participants from all over the world, we're very proud of the global representative that we have and the students who participate. So we've had students from Australia, New Zealand, Europe, Africa, South America, and the US participate in our certificate programs. At the tail end of those 2 weeks, working with all those students and with our global partners, you do receive an e-certificate that you're able to leverage and put on your resume, put on your LinkedIn, and it will help you to quantify the skills that you've gained in these certificate programs and then leverage that in a career, which brings this knowledge background and certifies you in this experience for your career in a number of different fields. In addition to our Learn Now, Travel Later model and our certificate program, we also have an entirely online 1-month-long option for you if you would like to partake in all of the content of our Iceland program in particular. It's at your own pace. It lasts for a month. We are still accepting applications for this program. So as you can see, we have a number of different options for virtual engagement with our topics. And these are programs that we've received a lot of very positive feedback about in terms of their experience on the program. And we're happy to talk with you more about any questions you have about the difference between our in-person travel-based delivery of sustainable development education, as well as our virtual certificate or online programs. On the note of reviews and feedback of our programs, I just want to show you some of what our alumni have reported about their experience with the Green Program and how it's impacted them personally, academically, and professionally. So as a bit of insight into that, 95% of the Green Program students report to us that they experience a sustainability-related shift, in particular with an increase in awareness and consciousness of personal impact, exchange, and expertise as it relates to sustainability issues. This particular statistic is brought to you by an alumni of our program who has actually just completed a master's degree in education for sustainable development. Leonie Paul is the author of this study, and she is actually a part of the International Education Week that we're offering. Her research, which was focused on educating for sustainable development, specifically through an international education lens, participating in the Green Program as part of her study to consider, first of all, whether educating for sustainable development was effective through international education, and then second of all, whether the Green Program in particular was delivering those outcomes. We're thrilled to find that her reporting pointed to absolutely yes, with this just being one of the statistics. And anyone who's interested to look through her studies further is welcome to participate in Friday's International Education event, which is part of actually the NAFSA Research Symposium, where her research is being featured this week. This is feedback that the Green Program has brought out from some of our internal studies to illustrate the impact of our programming, which includes 99% of studies saying the Green Program refined their purpose professionally, personally, and academically. And 4 out of 5 Green Program alumni say that employers have asked them about their experience with the Green Program in a job interview. As mentioned a few times, one of the key goals and missions and outcomes we've seen and want to provide through the Green Program is building a sustainability workforce. This includes students who are partaking in the Green Program and learning about these topics on with a global perspective, bringing that experience into a number of different professions, professional sectors, and companies. You can see on the left, we're proud to have Green Program alumni working on sustainability in some key big corporations, from Boeing to GE to NAFSA to Tesla to Nike and beyond. We're continually impressed and working closely with our alumni. I do also want to emphasize that working closely with our alumni to continue providing them professional development, training, experience, and opportunity is a key part of the Green Program. So we work closely with all of our alumni to continue offering them opportunities through continued training, events, one-on-one mentorship, networking opportunities with other alumni, as soon as they're done the program and through their careers. Okay, so moving beyond our programs and talking a little bit more about how we work with universities. Again, we were founded in 2009. We've had over 3,000 alumni coming from all over the world and all types of institutions. My role with the Green Program is working with our university partners and building our university relationships. And part of what I love doing is figuring out how the Green Program can complement the sustainability and educational missions of each individual campus. So we work with, on that note, universities in a lot of different fashions. Here you can see some of the key ways that we work with universities. This includes working with university study abroad offices or individual academic departments as affiliate partners, just working with them to pre-approve things like credit, financial aid, and approval and vetting of our programs. We also work with the universities to develop a number of faculty-led programming, where faculty from any different academic department is able to incorporate the Green Program into their on-campus instruction. They're able to lead programs abroad, do that virtually. And an increasing request and way that we do that is through embedded coursework, which will include either a pre-existing semester-long course, for example, on a campus be that in the business school or the engineering school, then taking the green program and incorporating that into the winter, spring, or summer semester, providing that as part of the credit of that course, and providing a unique industry exposure, hands-on global engagement component to that course. Another way that we work with universities is through a partnership that we term innovation partners. And here's where we like to get creative with different universities. It can include a lot of different things. We're always excited to hear what universities have in mind for how the green program might be able to complement what they're providing at their campus. A common way that we are doing this currently is through master's degree programs. So for example, we offer a master's degree program with the Antioch University of New England that is focused on international studies and sustainable development and climate change. That program is done almost entirely remotely online, save for the green program experiences, which are embedded throughout that master's degree, where students are able to engage globally and travel abroad with the green program throughout their master's study. Before I hand it over to Haley, and I have some questions for Haley before I open it up to the rest of you for your questions for Haley, I just want to give you a brief overview into how we work with Penn State. So the green program is headquartered in Philadelphia, which is in Pennsylvania, and we've worked closely with students and Haley and other faculty and staff members from Penn State for a number of years. We've been thrilled to have over 230 students studying sustainable development with us abroad in a number of our locations. We've been working closely in particular with the College of Earth and Mineral Science, where Haley comes to us, where there is partial funding available for students. And Haley also instructs a course that she's going to tell us about, where students are able to partake in the green program abroad as part of that course. So Haley, I have a number of questions that I want to ask you, and I'm sure that our attendees want to ask you. But before we dive into those questions, I just want to hand the mic over to you and give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and talk about your relationship to the green program and what you do at Penn State.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. So yeah, I teach in the Earth and Mineral Sciences College. I teach online students mostly. I got introduced to the green program because our actual degree that I teach in requires students to have a study abroad or an internship requirement. And the green program fits very nicely into our program for many reasons, and I'll go into that a little bit later. But yeah, so the college had an existing relationship with the green program, and it was just fantastic that it was such a easy fit for our students, and that I was able to build a course around the experiences. I have gone to both Iceland and Peru with the green program now, and I'm dying to get to Nepal, but I'm not sure when that's going to happen for obvious reasons.
We'll get you there soon, Haley, as soon as we can. Great, so I have a few questions for you, and then again, everyone else joining us, definitely send your questions into the chat and we'll filter them in after. But first, Haley, I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about what attracted you to the green program in particular.
So our students in my degree are typically adult students with jobs and other responsibilities other than just their schoolwork. And so the program that I teach in, again, is called Energy and Sustainability Policy. So obviously it's a really good fit for the green program. The subject matter is just a shoo-in. And then the short-term travel component is really very important for our students as well, as they can't just completely check out of their lives for an entire semester. It's been very rewarding for our students in a lot of ways because our adult students are not afforded the ability to really immerse themselves in the subject matter like a lot of the resident students are. And so when they go on these trips with the green program, they've really just loved the whole experience because they're eating, sleeping, and drinking energy and sustainability, especially in Iceland. And they're able to see the technologies that we've been studying about in action up close and personal.
That's great. Thanks, Haley. I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit more about what the process was for developing your course, which allows students to go abroad potentially with the Green program as part of that.
Absolutely. So the first part is that I do the experience, and I did the Iceland experience as a student, and then the Peru experience I did as a faculty kind of auditing the program. So once I have that experience, I know what the students can be expected to encounter while they're abroad with the Green program. And so what I did was build my course based on those experiences. But my course is largely built around journaling assignments. There are other assignments as well, but journaling is the key component to those courses. And these out of classroom student engagement experiences are super important for our students in a lot of ways. And capturing that growth and that learning that happens was really important to me, and not a traditional quiz or essay type of way, but more in a more genuine, authentic, immersive way. And so journaling really fits that very well. And so you can see on the screen there some of the journal entries that I've received from students, the types of things that they're learning. It really makes me as an administrator better able to talk about the growth and learning that happens on these trips when I have these types of passages to point towards. And so that's what the class is built around, is really getting students, any student can come back from a study abroad experience and say that was life-changing, but getting them to be able to actually communicate what that means or why is really very difficult. And so I kind of walk them through that process so that when they are sitting in front of an employer, they can actually talk about why it was life-changing and how it helped them change course or stay the course that they're currently on.
That's awesome. Related to that, I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit more about how you might quantify or qualify the importance of international experience or exposure as part of academic studies.
Yeah, so if you want to flip to that next slide, one of the assignments that my students do in the course is an infographic where they really pictorially represent the learning that has occurred through the Green program. And so the journaling that they did while they were traveling was really focused on two different things. One, on this personal growth area that you can see in the honeycomb type of graphic there on the right hand side. And then also they talk a lot about the process that they go through for the capstone project that they complete while traveling with Green and with their team. And so their journaling is really scaffolding upon one another so that when they're finished with the experience, they do a culminating entry and then they do an infographic such as what you're seeing here. This infographic can be shared at poster exhibitions within the college, or it can be, used in a job interview for students to showcase the learning that occurred. But what I really love about this graphic in particular is not only does she call out the personal growth areas of the professional development, the multicultural awareness, the systems thinking, the ethical behavior. She also talks about the relationship of the sustainable development goals. And you can tell that this was kind of like the apex of this student's academic career. And the really great thing that personally, I really love about it is the little QR code down in the corner. So if you want to go and read this woman's journal entries associated with the Green program, you can do that and learn more. So yeah, I think that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Haley. And this is an impressive overview. One thing I want to emphasize and just piggyback on is the sustainable development focus, specifically through the lens of the United Nations SDGs, which you guys can see in the little bubble about the sustainable development focus, which the Green program also uses to tailor all of our programming outcomes to. So that's great. I have one more question for you, Haley, and then to everyone else with us, Please do input your questions into the chat function. We're going to get to your questions next, just after my final question to Haley. And your questions can be for Haley, for myself, or just in general to anyone attending today, anything about sustainable development, how you can learn about sustainable development with the global focus, or learning about it in a higher education context. So put in your questions into the chat. But before we get there, Haley, as a faculty member who's been working to embed sustainable development with a global focus into your campus courses, I'm wondering if you have advice for any other faculty or staff who might be doing this as well, for how they might add an international component to their course delivery.
So the way that I have worked with the green program in my course has been, would fall under the embedded example that you provided earlier. So, you know, the students do some background work on the location that they're going to be visiting so that they arrive at the place with some kind of basic knowledge of the culture that they're about to enter. And then they take the trip, journal while they're gone, and then they complete this infographic and some additional work when they return. It was very simple for me in the fact that green takes care of the hard part, and green really has a lot of the liability, which is a huge factor for Penn State. So that part of it was very, very easy for me. The easy part on my behalf, or I guess maybe on your behalf as potential students, is the fact that the course that I offer is available to anybody, including non-Penn State students. So if for some reason the credits through Reykjavik University or something along those lines that green offers are not transferable to your institution, perhaps the Penn State ones would be, so you have a little more options. But yeah, I mean, as far as advice goes to any instructors, I would just definitely say if you can make it happen, please do. Our students can benefit from it greatly, from someone who spent time abroad as an undergrad student, and the way that it changed me and the confidence that it gave me, and then all of course, the tangibles to me that are hard to relay. You know, I think that the growth that our students can really gain from getting outside of their comfort zone and seeing, especially in Iceland and Peru, seeing things that are completely foreign that could be applied back here in the United States is invaluable.
That's great. Thanks, Haley.
Mm-hmm.
So as we transition from my questions from Haley, for everyone else's questions for Haley, again, just put your questions into the chat and we'll be sure to get to those. I just want to show a quick video. Let's see if it works. About Penn State students in Iceland with the green program. It's just a few minutes. And while we're learning about Penn State's experience in Iceland with this video, again, just filter in any questions you have to the chat.
The green program is a 10-day sustainable energy focused abroad experience in either Peru or Iceland, and the local experience is in Philly. The sustainability focus in Iceland is renewable energy.
I always wanted to study abroad in college, but the biggest thing for me was I never knew how to do that. I just didn't want to go abroad somewhere else and not learn anything.
The benefits of this program were honestly far beyond what I had imagined at first.
We spent several days in the classroom working on a group project, but the bulk of the program was spent in the field, whether it was touring geothermal power plants or learning by doing.
I thought the geothermal power plant was really cool because I'd just taken thermodynamics and we were talking about the Rankine cycle. That's really cool, but it's all just small pictures and diagrams, and you draw a trapezoid and say that's a turbine. And then we went to the geothermal power plant and they had the turbine there, and they showed how it heated the streets in Reykjavik, and so that the snow would melt was everything I'd learned in one of my classes, but then we could walk out and see it.
It's just experiences like that where you're out of the classroom, seeing how what you've learned, what you can learn, seeing it all apply to the world. It's a huge confidence boost, and you're still like able to learn so much. Everyone there was so like-minded with the common goal and common like worry about climate change and how it affects us and everyone else around the world.
It was also very valuable and enriching to go into this foreign and unfamiliar place with so many people from different walks of life, different colleges, but all with a kind of common background that was centered around taking care of the earth and the planet.
My favorite part of the green program was snorkeling between two tectonic plates, because that's something that you don't often get to do. It was also 1 degree Celsius when I was there, so it was very cold, which was also kind of an awesome opportunity just to experience new things. You know, not many people can say they were in water that was almost freezing.
We spent 2 nights camping in Thor's Valley, which was an epic place. We went on about a 14-kilometer hike to a peak that overlooked some of the national park. That was probably my favorite part, just that hike, getting up there. We spent about 5 minutes just completely silent, looking around, taking it all in.
There's a lot of times where I felt, can I do this? Like, am I really doing this? But it was a great testament to understand what pushing your boundaries really means.
Anyone can apply, meaning anyone in any major from any part of the country or any part of the world. Kind of helps anyone else in this sort of green sort of major or an EMS geared towards energy or climate change or anything like that. Helps you figure out how everything interconnects.
Having experiences like the Green Program, which specifically focused on sustainability and renewable energy in Iceland, helps both my resume and just my personal knowledge as far as how I could get to a career that focuses more on sustainability.
All right. So again, if you have any questions, throw them into the chat. I've got a few already, some coming into the general chat, some as DMs. So to get us started, let's see, before leaving for a program, in what ways are we introduced to the culture we are going to be visiting? Are there meetings or a meeting? Yeah, that's a really great question. I can answer that on behalf of the Green Program. I'd also love to hear from Haley, from her perspective, what that looks like for her students. But on behalf of the Green Program, absolutely, once you're brought into our programs, you'll have a student portal where you'll have all of your information, logistical and otherwise stored. So things like insurance, departure date, where you'll be uploading your flight information. And then in the pre-departure phase, we also do a lot of administering some key cultural and sustainable practices and information that is country specific that you should know before you arrive in your program location. And then upon arrival in each location, in each of our programs, there is an introduction and welcoming process orientation that goes through all of this again. It includes health and safety, importantly, information, as well as some key information for the host community that you'll be touring and visiting, and things that you'll need to know that are specific to the community that you're going to be engaging with, as well as the sustainability topics that you're engaging with. Another question that we've got in the chat is, do you do any work related to plastics in the ocean or circular economy initiatives? Thank you for that question, Camille. That's not the main focus of any of our programs at present. I think our program in Peru, which is focused on water resource management and sustainable practices, would be the one that incorporates that closest at present. However, that being said, while it's not the main focus of any of our programs thus far, we have had students work on that in their capstone development project for various locations. Capstones that work on both of those topics mentioned in particular. Haley, before I get into any of the other questions, do you have anything to add for Sabrina's question about before leaving for the program? Is there anything that you introduced to your students or make sure they know before they depart?
So the host country report that they complete before departing includes a survey of the host country's government, politics, society, geography, ecologic diversity, and their water resources. So I tell students, you need to arrive with a foundational understanding of the country you're visiting, and that you don't need to go into depth with each subject, but you are expected to, use reliable sources and present an accurate overview. I think this really helps students have a good idea of what to expect when they arrive, and actually deepens their experience already having that foundational understanding of the things they might encounter.
That's great. Thanks, Haley. I've got a few questions that came in as a DM directly to us that I want to ask you. I think they're meant for you specifically, Haley. One would be, what do you envision participation in the Green Program look for? What does participation in the Green Program look like for your campus moving forward?
Oh gosh, I wish I had a crystal ball to answer that. I know our college is committed to working with the Green Program because it's been such a quality experience for the students in the past. So right now no one for the university is allowed to travel for the foreseeable future through spring semester. So, I'm really hopeful that we can get students actually out and traveling with Green. But in the meantime, these virtual experiences that you guys have set up have been a really great alternative. And, we're going to continue to build the partnership with whatever that looks like moving forward.
Awesome, thank you. $1 million question that no one yet has the perfect answer to, but appreciate that support for virtual or in-person programs as we navigate the next few months and semester, Haley. Another question that came in over the DM is, Haley, what are some long-term impacts you've seen from students participating in the Green Program?
Well, the first long-term impact that will always be burned in my brain is that I had a student named Michelle from South Carolina who was not very self-assured, and she was a really good student, but not very confident, and just hadn't really ever forced herself to experience things like ziplining. And she participated in the Costa Rica experience, and she got so much support from the other students on the program. They held her hand as she walked up that mountain to get on the zip line. They encouraged her to try it. They were impressed with her knowledge base, which, when you're an online student, you're a little bit isolated, no matter how much you try to be incorporated into regular college life. So, she really gained so much confidence, and she came back and ran for a Public Utility Commission in South Carolina, which was huge. And she totally credits her entire experience with Green for having the courage to do that. I have seen students who have traveled with Green and had one major in mind, and then after experiencing the poverty in Peru or the amazing advancements in geothermal in Iceland, have decided to take a different career path. I think the long-term effects are, they run the range of very personal and confidence building to, the knowledge that you gain from these programs. It travels with you forever. And the sights that you see when you are in these cultures that are so starkly different, it stays with you forever.
I love that. That's been our experience with working with students as well, Haley. There's lots of different impacts, and that actually relates, I think, to Sam's question, which I can take. I'm happy to have you add on to if you like, Haley, but Sam asked, do you recommend when a college student should think about doing any of the programs, will a freshman gain as much as a junior would? I would say, Sam, absolutely a freshman would gain as much as a junior would. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we build our programs to be accessible to students who are at a variety of levels of pre-study or not pre-study and engagement with topics of sustainability. It's not geared to someone who's in any specific year of their studies or career path for that matter. We have a lot of young professionals as well as undergraduates or master's students who all participate together and learn from each other at those various stages of working in the specific topic or with sustainability in general. And the benefits rather are so wide-ranging and varied, and they include personal benefits of having studied and engaged with another culture, as well as having learned about things from an academic perspective or refined their professional focus, that we do see tangible benefits for students of all ages as well as young professionals. So for you, will a freshman gain as much as a junior would? Absolutely. If you are a freshman or you're early on in your studies and you're wondering if you're ready yet or if this is something you should wait to do, I would say the sooner the better, because the sooner you do the program, the sooner you have access to the continued professional development resources, the continued engagement with other alumni, the sooner you've been able to engage with these topics on a global scale with professionals in this field and been able to hone in on what you personally, academically, and professionally want to do in your career. Because I think one of the main benefits is studying abroad and engaging with these and studying these topics in Iceland or in Nepal helps to refine your focus and what you want to do professionally. So I think it's something we've seen benefit everybody at all ages, but if you're a freshman and thinking about doing it, by all means, I think you're definitely ready to partake in the green program. It's never too early. Another question that I'm happy to take from Ning is, which universities does the green program work with and in what capacity? How about K-12 schools? Great question. So we work with universities in a lot of different ways. We work with a lot of study abroad offices specifically. For one example, we are a travel-based program traditionally as well as virtually now. And so we work with study abroad offices to make sure that we are meeting the vetting protocol, providing the information needed by that specific office for students to be able to get global engagement credit, to register at that campus, to be pre-approved by that campus. But we also work very closely with a lot of different academic departments, and we're open to working with any academic department. Most commonly, though, at present will be academic departments like Haley's, which is the College of Earth and Mineral Sciences at Penn State, as well as a lot of engineering departments. So we work with Virginia Tech's College of Engineering. We work with NC State's College of Engineering in particular, working with faculty members to embed our global engagement course into a pre-existing course on their campus, to offer our programs as a Maymester for credit for their students, or just to offer it to their students as something that really gives a hands-on global engagement component to their studies as engineers. Again, we work with a lot of different departments. We're also seeing a lot of engagement with career services at universities, especially with the launch of our certificate programs, which are very focused on professional development. In terms of K-12, we focus on higher education and above, and we do have a requirement that students be 18 years or older in our programs. But by all means are open to anyone who might be partaking in a gap year or might want to take the green program in between their studies as a way to refine what they might want to study at university, or as a way to get engagement in sustainability topics before conducting their studies. We've got questions rolling in and only a few minutes left, so I'm going to see if we can hopefully get to all of these, but I do want to say that if we don't get to your questions before time is up, you can find more information on thegreenprogram.com, or you can email me directly at megan@thegreenprogram.com or the full team at info@thegreenprogram.com, and we're happy to take your questions. But seeing what we can fit into the last few minutes, could we touch on the current status of traveling? Again, for a student looking to apply, is traveling still happening? Really great question. So programs that we're currently enrolling in include our certificate programs and our virtual programs, which are starting as soon as the next few weeks in the winter term. We are accepting enrollment for travel-based programs as early as the spring, and in particular are seeing a lot of requests for travel-based programs which are open with the Green program next summer. So if you were interested in partaking in a travel-based program, that is something that you could pursue and talk to the Green program about. We are offering them as early as the spring term. I do want to emphasize that a lot of travel protocol, procedure, and whether you can get credit for that program might vary by your university and the systems and regulations they might have in place. Different universities will have different regulations for when travel and study abroad is possible. I work with a lot of different universities and it's really a mix at this point. Some have already canceled the spring term or next summer. Others have the spring term open for travel as well as next summer. Many universities, regardless, are open to students petitioning to travel on a case-by-case basis, depending on the situation in a specific host country, depending. So if you're thinking about a travel-based program, we have them open as early as the spring term, and we're happy to work with you one-on-one to determine which location is best, what the protocol is at your university, and what your next steps would look like. Since we are running low on time, I will request, since we have more questions coming in, that you direct any questions we didn't get to, and I'm sorry we weren't able to get to them, to me at megan@thegreenprogram.com or at info@thegreenprogram.com. If your question is for Haley, I'm happy to connect you with Haley and direct them to her. And I do want to thank you all for coming and remind you that we are going to have a full schedule of events throughout the remaining week. So our topic for tomorrow will be on green energy careers for young professionals. Our topic on Wednesday is going to be a panel about the future of travel. Our topic on Thursday is about how to travel sustainably. And then on Friday, we're going to be featuring our alumni who just finished a master's degree studying how to educate for sustainable development, with a focus on how the Green program and international education in general can be a really pivotal key way to educate for sustainable development. So we hope that you guys will attend some of our remaining events. Students who might be on the call, I want to remind you that we have an International Education Week special discount available to you this week if you do sign up for a Green program, and we're happy to talk with you and answer any questions about your options for doing a virtual or travel-based program with the Green program. So once again, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you again, Haley, for joining us. Please do reach out with any questions that you have, and we look forward to hearing from many of you soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.